Hey friends, it's Tracy Herbert. Have you ever lost hope and wanted to give up? I see you nodding your heads. I've been there too. Of course, we all have at one time or another. This training is to give you hope and the tools you need to take action today, not tomorrow, but today. The information you're getting ready to watch is based on decades of experience along with the latest scientific research available. You're going to learn 3 core strategies proven to help you take control of your health and your blood sugars. Discover 10 ways for developing a healthy mindset that supports you instead of sabotaging your health goals. Understand why blood sugar control is critical to reduce the risk of diabetes complications. And unlock the keys to better blood sugar control, plus so much more. Hang on tight, and let's get started.
Y'all, I get it. You're saying, no way, this isn't possible. Or, is this you? This is way too difficult. Keep listening, because I guarantee this is going to give you so much hope and tools that's going to totally change your life for the better. I was there, right where you are right now. Although that was 44 years ago, and nobody gave me hope, nor these tools that has science behind it. Keep listening, because I know you're going to love it. Everyone loves free, right? Of course you do. Stay until the end, because you're going to receive free gifts that you can use right now, guaranteed to help you in your health journey. Don't forget, though, you have to wait until the end to get them, because you're not going to want to miss it. The truth is, it's much easier than you realize. What you need is the right strategies. You need the right support system, because having a healthy support system is critical for good health. With the right social support, you're less likely to be obese and make better health choices. Good friends are there to celebrate the good times in your life and will also be there with a shoulder to cry on in bad times. The better friendships you have as you age, the longer you live. It's that important. Without friends, we have a higher risk of developing diabetes, if you don't already have it, heart disease, and also depression. What's learned from studying the longest living people in the world is they have a healthy support system of friends and families. And some of the things you're going to learn in this training has helped thousands of others just like yourself to live a longer, healthier, more active life with or without diabetes. That's why it's so important. Do you have that special friend who's willing to ask you the tough questions? Or, better yet, text you at 5:30 in the morning to remind you to work out? Or asked you, what'd you have for dinner last night? What about the friend who cheers when you lose the weight or you start eating healthier? Friendship is essential, but you need the right friends who are like-minded and ready to help you with all phases of life. Did you realize that when you have someone to help you stay accountable, you're 92% more likely to achieve those goals? More on accountability later. What's your why? When we truly want to take control of our health, we've got to know our why. Is it possibly spending more time with your grandkids and having the energy and flexibility to play with them? Maybe for you, it's you want to get outside and enjoy nature. Do you need to lose a few pounds for better health? Are you concerned about not being able to do the things you enjoy, like gardening? Are you worried about having vision problems? When you know your why, it changes everything. Goals and dreams for the future are paramount. Knowing your why for living a longer, healthier, and active life is essential for being fulfilled and taking action required to achieve that goal. When we don't have a compelling why, we don't make the daily decisions needed to accomplish it. Small daily changes add up to significant results over time. For me, my why was because of my biggest fear and the fear of so many others, which is complications. Don't stop listening because it's scary, because it can be, but take a minute to understand the negative ramifications for not taking control of your blood sugar. I promise it's going to get better. First up is heart disease. Diabetes often causes obstructions in the arteries and is a major risk factor for heart attacks. People that have diabetes are twice as likely to have heart attacks compared to those without diabetes. Uncontrolled diabetes can cause damage to the body's blood vessels, making them more prone to damage from atherosclerosis, which is formation of plaque around the interior lining of the walls. The most common, and about a third to one-half of people with diabetes, has peripheral neuropathy, which is a type of nerve damage usually affecting feet and legs, and in some cases, hands and arms. Besides inspecting feet every day, the next place to start is to get to an ideal body weight, and of course don't smoke, to help prevent the additional risk that creates. Because smoking can cause all sorts of negative health issues, which y'all all know, but including neuropathy. Diabetes is the number one forerunner of kidney disease. When someone has diabetes, the small blood vessels in the kidneys can become damaged and no longer filter impurities from the blood efficiently. Once the kidney's damage reaches end-stage renal disease, that person is required to go on dialysis. Someone with diabetes is about 20 times more likely to develop end-stage renal disease than people without diabetes. When a person's blood sugar is higher than normal, it can cause the kidneys to filter too much blood. I told y'all this was going to be a little depressing, but keep listening because there is hope. Another negative complication is retinopathy. If you have diabetes, you understand how diabetes can affect your vision. Here's how it works. High glucose levels causes abnormal blood vessels in the eye, which is known as diabetic retinopathy. Left untreated, some 10% of people with diabetic retinopathy develop diabetic macular edema, which is swelling that can cause central vision loss in your eye's macula. If you already have some degree of diabetic retinopathy, there is hope. I met a man about 10 years ago who was losing his eyesight. He was frantic and called, and we got together and started talking about it. He'd had type 2 diabetes for about 10 years, and his blood sugars ranged about 350. Yikes! I said, 350? And he looked like that was shocking. And I said, didn't your doctor say anything? And he said, no, my doctor never said a word. Now, I don't really understand that's possible, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. But I started giving him strategies, even though he was still going to the ophthalmologist to get the injections into his eye to save his eyesight. And he started taking control of his health. And within a few months, he started getting so much better. And then again, his blood sugar started coming back down. His body was getting so much healthier, but he still was struggling with his eyesight. Don't wait until it's too late. Start right now. According to the Alzheimer's Association, people with type 1 diabetes are at a 93% greater risk of developing dementia than someone without diabetes. And for people with type 2 diabetes, show accelerated cognitive decline, specifically in executive function and formation processing speed. Another study found that those whose onset of type 2 diabetes at a younger age were even at a higher risk of dementia. It's so important, with or without diabetes, to take control of your health right now. You don't want those kind of diagnoses. At least I don't. The majority of people with diabetes have high blood pressure, which increases the risk of heart attack, stroke, heart failure, and kidney disease. The American Diabetes Association reports that 2 in 3 people with diabetes suffer from high blood pressure or take prescriptions to lower it. When someone has high blood pressure, the heart needs to work even harder than those whose blood pressure is within normal range. And here's the one that scared me the most at 17 years old, 44 years ago. Diabetes is the second leading cause of amputations. The majority of amputations involves the toes, feet, and legs. In addition to nerve damage, foot ulcers can become infected to the point that antibiotics or other wound care specialties fail to work, leaving the patient with amputation as the only chance of survival. An amputation at mid-calf increases the risk of death from other diabetes complications. Wow, I know, that's a bunch of scary things, isn't it? This information is not to scare you or make you feel hopeless, but it's necessary to motivate everyone to take this disease seriously and take action now on the strategies we're going to talk about. Don't want to wait until tomorrow or a year from now, right now. Do you know what your fasting blood sugar levels are? According to the ADA, normal is 99 or less. Again, this is fasting blood glucose. Prediabetes is 100 to 125 milligrams per deciliter, and then diabetes 126 or more. If your fasting numbers are 126 or higher on 2 separate occasions, you're diagnosed with diabetes. What's your A1C? When I was diagnosed 44 years ago, we didn't even have A1Cs, but that's a great tool. And if you don't know what your A1C results are, ask your physician for past results. Also, most pharmacies sell A1C tests you can take home and do in the comfort of your own house. All of these numbers are so important for diabetes control, but actually, once I started really getting my numbers in range, I started having more energy in my 50s than I did in my 30s. And now in my 60s, I even have more energy than probably most of my kids. A1C is an average of 3-month blood tests, in case you didn't know. And here's another graph that makes it easy to see. If you have a hemoglobin A1C of 5.7 or below, it's normal range. 5.7 to 6.5% is pre-diabetic range, and then above 6.5 is diabetes. The American Diabetes Association recommends an A1C of less than 7. But when you look at what a 7 means, our average blood sugar readings are 152. And endocrinologists all have differing views. It's really kind of interesting now how things keep changing, which I love. 2 of my doctors suggested a mid-6 range. 6.5 would be an average blood sugar of 140. And this is about what we should strive for in our A1C results. What? I kept arguing with my doctors. That's crazy. My goal has always been to have an A1C as close as someone who doesn't have diabetes with a level below 5.7%, which is considered normal. An A1C, like I said before, between 5.7 and 6.4 signals prediabetes. Shouldn't I be as healthy as someone without prediabetes? Of course, talk to your medical team about what your A1C should be, but I always strive for flat level blood sugar readings, which in turn keep my A1Cs at a lower range. What I love sharing with people is I am flatlined with my blood sugars. For blood sugar control, that's good. Lying in a hospital bed, not so good. Remember though, talk to your medical team about what your A1C should be. If you're 35 or older, the age used to be 45 or older, but has recently changed because so many people were being undiagnosed. Or if you're overweight or have risk factors, it's best to have an annual A1C test done. With the rise in obesity in our youth and young adults, I believe this will be becoming an annual screening for all ages. Scientific studies find a direct correlation between prolonged periods of high blood sugar and diabetes complications. Here's a summary from one of these studies. Quote, conclusions: in patients with type 2 diabetes, the risk of diabetic complications was strongly associated with previous hyperglycemia. Any reduction in hemoglobin A1C is likely to reduce the risk of complications, with the lowest risk being in those with hemoglobin A1C values in the normal range, less than 6%. With all these studies, Doesn't it just show the importance of having a good A1C? And like I keep saying, and I know you probably are sitting there saying you're crazy, but what happened to me was once I started getting my blood sugars level, my A1Cs better, I have much more energy than I ever have. It's crazy. I want to say, of course, there's no scientific studies, but I want to see a good A1C is in correlation to having a lot more energy. Wonder if I can get a scientist to do a study on that. If you'd like a link to any of these studies, please reach out to me at Tracy, T-R-A-C-Y, at tracyherbert.com. These studies and all the studies we're going to talk about today, I'll be glad to send you. And you may want to share with your doctor also. This training obviously is to help you, but I wanted you to know a little bit about me and my background. I discovered the value of scientific research and been practicing health and wellness strategies, like I keep saying, 44 years ago, and still research every day. And a lot of people call me a research junkie, but it's important, and it's saving my life and so many others. Why over 4 decades? Because my life depends on it. When I was 17 years old, I was lying in a hospital bed fighting for my life. The doctor walks in and he says, "You've got juvenile diabetes," which is now type 1. "You're going to be dead within 20 years. You're going to die with horrible complications, and you're never going to be able to have children." And he turned around and walked away. I had no hope. So what I started doing is researching a few months after my diagnosis. Back in the day, I would sneak, and I'm winking as I say sneak, in a local college medical school library because we had no internet back then, and I was still in high school. I discovered the value of 2 choices. Y'all, it all starts with 2 choices. There's choices in everything, but the one I like to talk about the most is I had 2 choices. I could be better with my diagnosis or I could be bitter. And of course, I chose better. But you could think of the same thing with food choices. I could have an apple or I could have a donut. 2 choices. Once you discover the value of 2 choices, things really start making more sense. While writing my first book, at the prompting of my endocrinologist, aka diabetes doctor, because he said, "You've got to get this out to other people," I quickly discovered why I was still alive, and it's all summed up in my 3M formula, which of course you're going to learn a lot more about this through the training. I'm a podcast host. I'm a best-selling author of 3 books. First one was Diabetes Tragedy Triumph, based on scientific research. Ride for Hope, which chronicles my bicycle ride across the United States. And Longevity Codes, which is all about living a longer, healthier, and more active life. Because I believe so much in science and not snake oil salespeople, I put research in all my books, just like I do in everything. After speaking at Harvard, several doctors came up and asked me, "How are you still alive and what are you doing?" It was really strange when I heard those questions. And then it became my passion and mission to help everyone learn these strategies that I've been living with to be healthy with or without diabetes. Even though I've been a health coach for over 30 years, I changed my focus to helping those of us who are baby boomers live life without regrets. My story is not to brag, but it's about what you can accomplish, especially when you put your mind to it. With my background in psychology and my training as a certified personal trainer and a certified senior wellness coach, I helped clients achieve their health and wellness goals. And to prove my strategies work, in 2017, I completed a continuous solo 3,527-mile bicycle ride from the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco to the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City, ending on the Dr. Oz show. Not a big deal, you might think? But remember, at the age of 17, when I was lying in a hospital bed, I was told I would have horrible complications and die within 20 years. All of this while I'm learning to give myself shots several times a day for the rest of my life. And yep, what some find even more remarkable was when I rode my bicycle to celebrate living successfully with diabetes for 40 years. I was showing people you can do anything. Anything is possible if you put your mind to it. But also because my doctor at 17 years old said I'd never be able to have children. And not only do I have children, but I'm also a grandmother. Like I say all the time, you can do anything as long as you have the right tools and the right strategies. But it all starts with the mind. Now let's get to the good stuff, my 3M formula. The mind is the most significant because it's the first and foremost critical step for change. When writing my first book, again, Diabetes Tragedy to Triumph, I was reminded how doctors and other medical people continue to ask me day after day, how am I still alive and don't have any complications, and I have so much more energy than most people my age. I dug deep and created my 3M formula, and mind is first. Here's 10 things that you can do right now to improve your mindset that have worked wonders for myself and so many of my clients. Number 1, believe that you will be happy and healthy. Remember the little engine that could? I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. I now say, I know I can, I know I can, I know I can. It's a mind shift change. I know I can be happy and I know I can be healthy. Number 2, accepting ourselves for who we are. We give so many of our friends and family grace, but we don't do the same for ourselves. We have to accept ourselves for who we are. Number 3, find things you enjoy doing like a hobby and do it. Getting away from daily routines and day-to-day living and find a new hobby is great for the mindset. For example, baby boomers like myself who take up dancing not only improve cardiovascular health, but also reduces risk of Alzheimer's. Number 4, smile and laugh more, even when you don't feel like it. From personal experience, I can tell you that was a game changer for me. There are so many funny things out there that you can find. Smile and laugh more. Number 5, take a warm bubble bath, go fishing, get a massage. You get it. Do something just for you. Setting goals comes in at number 6. Write them down. Those who write goals down are 42% more likely to achieve that goal just by writing them down. But then you got to do them. Set a long-term goal, longer than 3 months. So I want to do blank, whatever your goal is. Then break it down to a short-term goal, which is less than 3 months. Then break it down to your weekly goal. Number 7, talk about your feelings, but find someone who can encourage and help you work through them. We don't want to be around negative Nellies because then we're going to fall into that negative mindset. So be around people that can encourage and are positive. Number 8 is volunteering and giving to others. It helps to change our thinking from the world revolves around me to looking at other people. Number 9 has always been a tough one for me, even when I was a little girl. And I have to give my mom props to this one because she taught me this at a young age. Every time you speak a negative word, either about yourself, someone else, like a boss, a sibling, a friend, say 5 positive things. It helps me stop negative thinking in its tracks. If you say something negative, then you have to come up with 5 positives. And last but not least, number 10 is meditate or pray every day. Even if it's just for a few minutes, it really does help. Find the real motive why you want to get healthy. Dig deep and find the real reason. Once you determine your true motivation, visualize the new you. Can you see, really look at what you want and see yourself living as a healthier person, the new real you? For example, say you want to lose 25 pounds. Don't look at yourself where you are right now, but see, and I'm using air quotes on that, see yourself 25 pounds lighter. It really starts making a difference. Think you want to start eating healthier. Don't even think in your mind about junk food, but start looking at foods that you think you could eat that's healthier. So you want to visualize in the future. When understanding your real motivation for getting healthy, it allows you to understand the fact you have a better chance of reaching your goals. If you want your blood glucose levels to remain steady, because your doctor or family is pressuring you to make the change, external, you're less likely to make the change or stick with it. However, if the reason you want to make the change is that you want to enjoy life to the fullest, internal, be healthier, internal, then you're more likely to keep the goal and modify your life. Don't think of rewarding yourself with something to eat, like most of us grew up with. Instead, find things you previously enjoyed but put on hold because of busy schedules. Allow yourself time to indulge in the activities when you reach a goal. For example, take a nice warm bubble bath after you've exercised 3 times this week. Or a book you've wanted to read after you had a salad. Reward yourself with something you really enjoy doing. Positive support is critical when changing from an unhealthy life to one of health and power. Find a friend or family member that will help you with accountability and will be a reinforcement when feeling tempted to fall back on old bad habits. We all need help once in a while, but especially during hard times. Having a strong group of people supporting you will help you to live longer and cope with life challenges. And we don't have to go through life alone. Tony Robbins said, "Setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible." Setting SMART goals is critical for good health. The acronym stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. Just setting one goal right now will help you transform your life. Remember, small steps equals big changes. The second M of my 3M formula is, you got it, mouth. You may be asking yourself, what do I put in my mouth, Tracy? Not your foot, obviously. Remember, we have to laugh and smile more, and even at my silly jokes. To make it simple, mouth is all about learning to eat to live, not live to eat. If you can grasp that one concept, it really is transforming. I'm going to say it again. Learn to eat to live, not live to eat. But seriously, you know what you should or shouldn't be eating, but why is it so difficult? When we're wise in our food choices, we quickly discover how much better we feel and how much more energy we have. And the icing on the cake, pun intended, our blood sugar levels become easier to control. Smart eating is critical to having good health and a longer life. Once you discover and put into practice the mindset, like I mentioned just a minute ago, eat to live, don't live to eat, your life's going to dramatically change, just like it has for me. When choosing foods that help you and doesn't hurt you, your energy levels increase. A good place to start is to practice eating like the longest living people in the world. The key principles we learn from the longest living people are a diet rich in healthy fats, lots of fish, nuts, heavy on the vegetables, and some fruit and small portions of meat. Did you happen to notice there's no donuts or cookies or chips? But also, you're going to find their diet is very low in processed foods, again, AKA donuts, crackers, things like that, and sugar. Does that sound like how you eat? If not, don't beat yourself up, but start today implementing some of these foods. Our goal is never to beat ourselves up and say, I can't, but what can you do tomorrow? What can you do the next meal? When choosing fruit, opt for blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, and raspberries because they're lower glycemic, which all that means is they don't spike your blood sugar as quickly like bananas, oranges, and pineapples do. Getting to your ideal healthy body weight and maintaining it is your number one step towards better health. Not an issue for you? Congratulations! Keep up the great work. When working with my clients, when they start to understand and change their mindset about food, the weight starts to come off and their blood sugars level starts to improve. Have you ever considered the impact that food has on your energy level and weight? If not, this is also a game changer for you. Really sit back and think about this. Do you feel tired mid-morning? The answer is probably yes, because if you eat the typical American breakfast, a few hours after you eat, you feel sluggish and probably reach for coffee or some kind of a soft drink or something. But when you replace those high-carb breakfasts with salads, lean protein, and healthy fats, you're sitting there saying, Tracy, that's not what you eat for breakfast. Actually, that's a great breakfast. Learning these strategies have helped me have better blood sugar control and more energy. When I transformed our breakfast, we have more energy throughout the morning and are completely satisfied and remain full until mid-afternoon. People think we're crazy the way we eat. Sometimes leftover salad, leftover lean protein. Most often we make our own green protein shake. We use whey protein and a bunch of different healthy fats like avocado, and we pour in the greens like there's no tomorrow, and we have so much more energy. Think about the last time you went out for lunch and had something like pizza or you had pasta, which tasted good going in, but a few hours later, you started feeling sluggish. What happens with or without diabetes? Our blood sugars spike. People think we're crazy the way we eat, but we feel great, have more energy, and most importantly, my husband has been able to keep his weight loss off, and he's off all medication. What's the secret? The countries with a typical Western diet consisting of processed and refined foods and sugars proves to have more people with depression and lower levels of energy, compared to those who eat Mediterranean and standard Japanese meal plans, consisting of more vegetables, fruits, fish, and seafood, along with only small amounts of lean meats and dairy products. If you're feeling down, need to lose a few pounds, or have low energy levels, check the foods you're eating, because more than likely that could be the culprit. On rare occasions when I eat a typical American breakfast, I'm sluggish and wishing I hadn't eaten it within a few hours. Find what works best for you. Your future self will thank you for it. Unless you want to spend hours with me, and you probably don't, here's some tips on finding the perfect diet. Again, it's got to be a diet similar to those of the longest living people on the planet. And remember, they eat less processed foods. Think less sugar. Why don't we all want to be like those longest living people on the planet? The foods must not cause inflammation, because inflammation is what causes most disease. And another thing most people our age don't realize, its negative impact on joint pain and arthritis, let alone diabetes. Need help losing weight, getting more energy, having better blood sugar control? Remember what I just mentioned. Consider practicing eating low glycemic foods that don't spike the blood sugar, with or without diabetes. All of this and so much more is how I help my clients achieve their health and wellness goals. Having a well-hydrated body is critical to a healthy life. If at first you don't enjoy drinking water, add some lemons, limes, or a slice of cucumber to give it an added zest. Drinking water also reduces hunger pains. When you feel hungry, most of the time it's because you're dehydrated. When you feel hungry, have a glass of water and wait about 15 minutes to see if you're still hungry. Be sure to test your blood sugar if you have diabetes, because your hunger pains could be related to your blood sugar levels. Drinking a glass of water before a meal will help you differentiate between real hunger and dehydration. Another benefit of drinking a glass of water before a meal is it will likely reduce the number of calories you consume. Woohoo! Who doesn't want that? Want to know how much water to drink? Well, about half of your body weight in ounces. Or, you know what? Just add a glass of water here and there, because most people don't drink enough water. Don't make it a rule, just start drinking more water. We're all different. Find what works best for you, because what works best for you may not work for your friends or spouse. The cookie cutter approach, y'all, does not work. Ditch the soft drinks for tea. Drinking 1 cup of green tea daily can reduce the risk of heart disease. But y'all, don't add anything to it. Just drink a cup of green tea. By making the switch, it can decrease the buildup of plaque commonly associated with cardiovascular disease versus those who don't drink any tea. Remember, heart disease is a common diabetes complication. Another benefit of drinking tea is that it can reduce your risk of certain types of cancer and can lower blood pressure and cholesterol. Not to mention, making the sweet to tea helps us to avoid the dangers of high fructose corn syrup in regular soft drinks and the toxic chemicals found in artificial sweeteners. Of course, getting plenty of exercise and choosing healthy food options helps reduce heart disease and the others mentioned earlier. Don't like green tea but love coffee? You're in luck. A study with 3.8 million participants found 4 cups of coffee had a reduced risk of death from all causes compared to those who didn't drink coffee at all. Coffee consumption was also associated with reduced risk of getting and dying due to certain cancers, diabetes, lung disease, and heart disease. The same thing applies though. Don't add anything to it because we don't want to put sugar, artificial sweetener, or creamers or anything in it. Just a cup of coffee or a cup of green tea. And now, coming in at number 3 on my 3M formula is, you guessed it, move. Always check with your doctor before starting an exercise program. And don't start off thinking about running a marathon unless you're already a long-distance runner. Like I mentioned earlier, small steps equals big changes. And y'all, movement has saved my life. Living with diabetes for 44 years has kept me moving. Thanks to moving, I really do feel like I've outlived my life expectancy because of doing some form of exercise every day. Of course, like I said, you don't need to run a marathon or ride your bicycle across the country, but just do something every day. When I found out I was going to be a grandma, about 11 years ago, I knew flexibility needed to be addressed. So I started getting up and down off the floor to prepare for the upcoming birth so I could play on the floor with the grandkids. It's worked really well, and I still play on the floor with the grandkids today. While waiting for the light to turn green, on the first few days of my bicycle ride across the United States, a lady waiting at a bus stop kind of yelled over saying, "Wow, I wish I could ride my bike across the city." And I said, "Well, I'm actually riding my bike to New York City." And I kind of smiled at her, and I just had that gut instinct that I need to get off my bike and go talk to her. She was a sweet young lady, and she was just embarrassed and felt bad. She started telling me the story that her house was around the corner, and she was waiting for her brother to come pick her up because she couldn't walk home. She was so sweet, beautiful smile, but morbidly obese. And I started talking to her. The health coach came out in me, and I started asking her if she could do certain things. And everything I said, "Could you do this?" she said, "No, I can't. And just for a split second, you could just see that glimmer of hope in her eyes. And she said, "I think I can." I said, "Yes." Okay, walk into your driveway, stop and rest, turn around and walk back. Do that every day. And then go next door, go a little further, walk to the end of the street, come back. Just do something every day. Y'all, by the time I reached New York City, I got a text message from her. Not only did she lose a bunch of weight, she had signed up to walk a 5K event. Y'all, that's 3.1 miles. It did start with her mind, but without moving, she never would accomplish this amazing feat. Remember, this was the same lady who could not even walk around the corner to her house, who'd signed up for a 5K event. That's huge. It's never too late. It's critical at any age to stay flexible and fit, and even more so when we have diabetes. Something as simple and easy as walking have profound health benefits. Like I just mentioned, the lady I met in Sacramento. If you're struggling with weight loss or energy, grab a pair of tennis shoes and go for a walk. There are so many benefits, like the American Diabetes Association found that walking lowers blood sugar levels and even lowers the risk of developing diabetes. If you don't walk, this may be your best strategy. An American Cancer Society found women who walked 7 hours or more a week had a 14% lower risk of developing breast cancer. What's exciting is this study found walking also protected women who are overweight, who typically have an increased risk of developing breast cancer. Walking frequently lowers blood pressure by as much as 11% and reduces the risk of stroke by 20 to 40%. People who walk at a moderate pace for at least 30 minutes, 5 or more days per week, had a 30% lower risk of cardiovascular disease than those who didn't walk. Remember the connection between heart disease and diabetes complications? And we all know about the importance of having a strong immune system. It's critical. During cold and flu season, those who walk at least 20 minutes most days of the week were 43% more likely to have fewer sick days. And those who were ill, the severity of the symptoms was less severe and they experienced a shorter duration. Okay, baby boomers like me, according to the National Council of Aging, those over the age of 60 who walked 45 minutes every day at a 16-minute mile pace greatly improved their cognitive performance. Those who walked 40 minutes 3 times a week slowed the age-related normal shrinking of the hippocampus. And as a reminder, the hippocampus is the part of the brain associated with short-term memory as the first area of the brain to be damaged by Alzheimer's. Your mood improves by walking. When you walk, your endorphins increase, enhancing your mood. When you walk for 20 minutes at a quick pace, your disposition can improve for 12 hours afterwards. Down in the dumps? Go for a walk. Walking helps reduce joint pain, even arthritis. People who walk 5 or 6 miles a week can prevent arthritis. If you don't have arthritis, start walking now. When walking, your muscles strengthen and your joints are lubricated. Walking protects hips and knees, just the opposite of what so many people think. Remember, y'all, a good pair of shoes is critical to protect your knees, hips, and back. As a reminder, all these links to these studies are available. Just reach out to me if you'd like them. This is how the 3M formula work together. The mind is the most significant because it's the first and foremost critical step to change. Once the mind adapts, then eating and exercise will quickly follow. Together, the 3 are synergistic and vital for living a longer, healthier life. All 3 work really closely together, and here's an example of how they work. If you continue to eat foods that harm you, like processed food, fast food, junk food, you're going to feel sluggish and you won't want to get up and exercise. You sit all the time and you're going to be more inclined to eat the wrong kinds of foods. And both of these scenarios will negatively affect your mindset, sabotaging your health journey and, of course, your blood sugar control. Y'all keep listening because you don't want to forget those free gifts at the end of the training and miss out on the rest of this important stuff. Are you thinking, where do I begin? We're not talking about riding your bicycle across the United States. It's all about doing what you love and staying physically active. Park the car further away is a great way to get extra movement in your daily routine. Do you take the elevator or escalators? If so, consider taking the stairs. Maybe for you, it's just like my friend in Sacramento and just walking to the end of your driveway and back. But don't compare yourself with others, but start exactly where you are. Remember your why for wanting to take control of your health. Once you have your why in place, it's going to become easier to stay focused, especially on days when you don't feel like getting out of bed to exercise, or you're too tired to go for a walk, or you want to just give up on your health journey. By remembering your why, it will keep you focused. Benjamin Franklin said, quote, "By failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail," end quote. Before going to bed, decide in advance that you're going to do something. But you've got to decide what you're going to do, because if you enjoy it, you're going to do it over and over again. But for me, as an example, I'm going to go to a spin class in the morning. I'm going to set my alarm accordingly and set up my workout clothes before going to bed. Do you have an extra pair of tennis shoes and socks? Put them in the car, and when you have some spare time, go for a walk. Especially if you have young kids. I used to do that all the time when my kids were in soccer and baseball, softball, all that. I'd walk during their time of practice. And I still today do it often between meetings, visiting friends and family, or my stress level is high. Put reminders around your house, office, and car with inspiration and motivation to keep your eyes on the prize. Don't forget to block it on the calendar also. Like I mentioned earlier, when you write down your goals, you're 42% more likely to achieve them just by writing them down. And here's a great tip. Set an alarm on your phone with an inspiration quote on it when it's time for you to get ready to go for your walk or have a healthy meal or something. Want to more than double your chance of success? Make a commitment to go out and exercise with a spouse, friend, or neighbor who will help you stay accountable. This must be someone willing to help you stay on track and willing to ask those tough questions. If not, look for a coach with experience in helping their clients stay accountable. This is so important to have accountability in our lives. I have coaches in my life to help me stay accountable on certain things. Who's on your team? Besides your medical team, of course. When trying to begin or stay committed to a healthy lifestyle, especially with diabetes, it takes more than just a physician. When I was diagnosed, I had no one. My family doctor just kept saying, "I'm sorry, but you'll have a horrible life, and hopefully you'll be able to live maybe 20 more years." Then he went on to say I'd have horrible complications before I died. What a shock to a 17-year-old person, full of life and hope, and all of a sudden, my future looked pretty bleak. And I didn't know anyone with diabetes. Then I learned about my new best friend, even though we never met. Mary Tyler Moore also had juvenile diabetes. And over the decades, she was the person I would look up to for inspiration. She was on my team, even though we never met. Every time I would get down the dumps, I would say, if Mary Tyler Moore can do it, so can I. And yep, sometimes I'd even throw my hat up in the air just like she did on her TV show. Who's on your team? Having someone or others is important for success with your health journey. Y'all, I can't stress this enough. Who or what belief is guiding you? The people who tell you you can't get healthy. How about your own negative self-belief, saying to yourself things like, "I can't," or "I've tried in the past and failed"? People who climb to the top of Mount Everest cannot do it without a Sherpa. The Sherpas don't climb for the hikers, but help them along the journey by helping them have the right equipment and guides them all along the way. Who do you have to guide you? There is value in getting the help of an expert who can guide, coach, and encourage you through the transformation. Professional athletes, along with other successful people, hire coaches to help them reach their goals. A good coach will listen, encourage, motivate, challenge, help you make better decisions, and guide you to the healthier life you want. I've been coaching for several decades and have seen remarkable changes in my clients. If you find yourself stuck and not getting the results you want, a health coach might be what you need to achieve your goals. Your spouse or friend, you may want to try, but they may not be the right person. It's not about working hard or smart, y'all. It's about working right. For those of you already working one-on-one with me, you understand the importance of having the right coach. But for everyone else, did you know that if you have a coach or an accountability partner, you're 93% more likely to reach your goal? A good analogy for a coach is a guide, one who's been there before and can guide you along the way to help you reach your goals. Note, they won't do it for you, but will walk the journey with you. Finding the right coach can be a challenge. Be sure to talk with several coaches before making this important decision. Today you had lots of information about how to be healthy, but when you do not put it into practice, you're going to fail. You know most of what you should be doing, so why aren't you doing it? The key is to act on what you already know. For this to be valuable to you, you must act on what you're learning and apply it. Be willing to act now. Don't wait for tomorrow. Your future self is really going to thank you for it. You don't want to wait until something terrible happens or you're lying in a hospital bed. Act now. Remember my friend George I told you about earlier, who after 10 years of living with type 2 diabetes was fighting to keep his eyesight? I never will forget him saying when I walked away from him the first time, "If only I would have met you years ago." That tears me up. Know your numbers. It's so important. When I got my first home blood testing machine in 1983, it was a game changer. I didn't get it for years after I'd had diabetes, but I finally got one in 83, and it was crazy. My doctor told me I could only take my blood sugar readings twice a day. Of course, in 2022, this seems crazy, but once I started taking it more often, against my doctor's orders, in the early 1990s, I started seeing the huge spikes in my blood sugar readings and understanding how certain foods impacted my blood sugars at different times. He didn't even like me testing so often because he didn't think it was necessary. I took control of my diabetes as quickly as I could, and once I received this testing machine and the feedback it gave me, it helped me make better choices and put me back in control with my researcher's hat on. Test and see how your body responds to food, exercise, y'all, this is a big one, stress, sleep, and so much more. This is something that all my coaching clients start off, really being honest, complaining about. But when they start realizing the impact that certain foods and things we just talked about had on their blood sugar swings. Monitoring blood sugars are critical to staying healthy and to reduce the risk of complications from diabetes. This provides a wealth of information you can take action on. And you know what? If you don't have a home blood testing machine, don't worry about it. Many are available at lower cost than you would imagine at almost every pharmacy. We all have two choices. You can continue the path you're currently on by doing it yourself, or make a small investment to transform your health and have more energy. Ask yourself this question: where will I be in a year if I don't make any changes? Make a commitment right now to change your mindset from "I can't" to "I can." Recognizing that no one is perfect is paramount, and beating yourself up is not going to help. One day it's one step forward, and the next day it may be 2 steps back. Understanding that this is normal and how you respond makes all the difference. Forgive yourself and keep moving towards the health goals you want. Y'all, you can't expect change overnight. But what I can guarantee is after a few days or a week of putting these things into action, you're going to begin to have more energy and your confidence levels are going to greatly increase, in addition to seeing blood sugar improvements. Motivation is part of your mind, which helps you make better choices about what you put in your mouth and how you move. There are no guarantees, but your risks of diabetes complications will decrease when you follow my 3M formula. And watch your A1C levels improve. Woohoo! Finding the correct path can be a real challenge. Navigating the course takes the right team, tools, and someone who's figured out the correct path before. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm a health and wellness coach who's been using my psychology background along with living with diabetes for 44 years to help others. If you don't need additional help on your journey, good for you. But for those of you who recognize you need a guide to help you lower your A1C and reduce your risks of complication, I create a program called the A1C Challenge, which is all about getting your A1C to a healthy range. As I mentioned earlier, the things that we do that help lower our A1Cs have many additional benefits like more energy, better health, weight control or loss, and the list goes on. What's unique about this program is it has a 100% guarantee that if you don't lower your A1C after following the program for 90 days, you'll get a full refund. You'll meet with me personally for 13 weeks, about 45 minutes each week. I hope you apply the 5 M's, of which 3 of them we talked about today. You'll receive encouraging text messages, emails, and tips throughout the time we're together. And you want even more exciting news? Once you've reached success lowering your A1C, you're going to continue to have ongoing support from me for an entire year. To access my calendar and jump on a free strategy call with me, towards the bottom of this page, under the video, you'll see a calendar that shows my availability. I guarantee you're going to walk away with at least 3 things that will help you take action immediately. Obviously, space is limited, so don't be that person in a month or a year that says, I wish I would have taken action. This call is only for those of you all who are determined to take action right now and recognize the importance of investing in their health. As promised at the beginning, I want to bless each of you with something that will help you get started on your health journey now and will keep you focused in the future. It's 31 Days to Better Health. Go to the bottom of this page. You'll see a big green button that will give you access to download this free book right now. Each day is a quick, easy read that gives you daily tips on ways to take control of your health. By projecting the consequences of our current habits into the future, it motivates us to make the appropriate changes today. This visualization has worked wonders for me for over 40 years and for all my coaching clients. Don't wait until you have a problem, complication, or things get so out of control, but make the changes now. Your future self will thank you for it. Y'all, you can do this. Never lose hope.
That was a lot of information. I get it. And it only scratches the surface, obviously. Don't forget to scroll to the bottom of this page to download your free, yes, everybody likes free, copy of my 31 Days to Better Health book. To get on a call with me to help you through this maze. And again, I get it. It is a maze, especially at first. Block a time on my calendar and you're going to find it below. As a reminder though, space is extremely limited. Go to my website, TracyHerbert.com, to find free resources to help you in your health journey. And if you want, and you probably will, want to watch a short video recap of my bicycle ride across the United States. Y'all, you can do this. That I can guarantee. Don't ever, ever, ever lose hope.